Lee Min-ho just got absolutely showered with gifts on stage. Fan after fan presenting him with offerings that ranged from handmade artwork to elaborate wrapped packages to flowers that were piling up faster than his staff could manage them. And while all of that was happening on that stage, a camera found Song Hye-kyo in the audience, and what her face was doing through the entire thing has sent the Min-kyo community into a complete and total emotional meltdown. Was this genuine jealousy? Was this amused disbelief? Was this the face of a woman watching the full scale of her husband's fan devotion and having a series of very private feelings about it in a very public space? Stay till the absolute end because every layer of this moment is more delicious than the last. Before we get into all of it, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications because Min-kyo updates are coming through constantly and you cannot miss a single one. Now let us talk about the gifts, the reactions, and what Song Hye-kyo's face revealed when she thought no one important was watching. Before we get to her face, before we get to the reaction that has broken this community open with pure joy, we need to establish the full scale of what was happening on that stage because the scale is essential context for everything that followed. This was not a standard fan interaction moment. This was not the usual rhythm of a fan event where a few organized gifts are received with gracious warmth and the schedule moves forward. What happened on that stage was an outpouring. A collective, sustained, almost overwhelming demonstration of the specific intensity with which Lee Min-ho's fanbase loves him. An intensity that has not dimmed across the years and the career milestones and the personal changes and the confirmation of the marriage that some less devoted fan communities might have used as a reason to redirect their affection elsewhere. His fans did not redirect. They arrived at this event with gifts the way an army arrives at a field, with preparation and commitment and the absolute intention of leaving nothing behind. The stage accumulated. Flowers first, then packages, then handmade items that represented hours or days of someone's devoted personal time, then more flowers, then gifts whose elaborate wrapping communicated the specific care of someone who wanted the presentation itself to be a statement about how seriously they take the feeling behind the offering. Lee Min-ho received all of it with the particular grace that his fans have come to understand as one of his most genuine qualities. Not the performed gratitude of a star going through the motions of appreciation. The actual gratitude of a man who understands what it means for a person to show up with something they made or carefully chose and offer it to him in front of a room full of people. He held each thing. He looked at each thing. He said something to each person, quietly in the way he always does, privately in the way that makes each fan feel that the acknowledgement was specifically for them rather than for the room. He is extraordinary at this. He has always been extraordinary at this. The capacity to make 1,000 people each feel individually seen is a rare gift and Lee Min-ho has it in abundance. And he was deploying it in full on that stage while the gifts accumulated around him and his staff worked quietly to manage the growing landscape of offerings without disrupting the flow of the moment. All of this was happening in a room where Song Hye-kyo was sitting. This is the central fact around which everything else in this story organizes itself, and it needs to be held in full clarity before the analysis of her reaction can begin. Song Hye-kyo was not watching from a private booth or a secured backstage area, or any of the other managed distances through which a celebrity spouse might choose to observe their partner's public interactions. She was in the room, in the audience, present in the same shared space as the stage and the fans and the accumulating landscape of gifts and the gracious, generous man at the center of all of it. She was close enough to see his face when he received things. Close enough to watch the specific quality of attention he gave each fan who approached. Close enough to observe in real time and in considerable detail exactly what the relationship between Lee Min-ho and his devoted global fanbase looks like when it is in full, unmediated expression. And her face, as the camera found it and stayed with it across multiple moments during the gift-receiving sequence, was doing things that no amount of composed public management could fully contain. The first thing the camera caught was the expression she had during the earliest stage of the gift presentations, before the volume had reached its eventual overwhelming peak, and before her face had fully processed the scale of what she was witnessing. This early expression is the most complex of the several that the footage documents, and it is the one that the most analytically sophisticated members of the Min-kyo community have been returning to most frequently because it contains the most layered emotional information. It is not quite jealousy at this stage. It is something that precedes jealousy or perhaps exists alongside it without being identical to it. It is the expression of a woman who is watching something and measuring it. taking in the full dimensions of what is unfolding in front of her and running it through some internal processing system that is producing results visible in small, specific, entirely unmanaged ways on her face. The measuring quality in the expression is what has most fascinated the community's most attentive observers. Song Hye-kyo is, by every available account and by every piece of evidence her decades-long public life has produced, a woman of considerable emotional intelligence. She reads situations with a precision that comes through even in her most managed public interactions, a quality of perception that operates continuously, and that produces in her responses a specificity suggesting that she has understood far more about any given moment than she has chosen to visibly respond to. That measuring intelligence is fully engaged in this footage. She is watching Lee Min-ho receive gifts from fans who love him, and she is understanding something about what she is watching, something about its scale and its sincerity and its specific meaning, and the understanding is producing an emotional response that is moving across her face in real time. The second expression the camera caught came approximately midway through the gift sequence when the volume had increased enough that the stage was visibly transforming around Lee Min-ho, the gifts accumulating into a physical presence that was becoming impossible to ignore from anywhere in the room. This second expression is the one most fans have identified as the clearest jealousy red, and it is not difficult to understand why. Not tightness in the uncomfortable sense, not the physical evidence of distress or genuine anxiety. More like the specific physical expression of a woman who has just watched another woman hand her husband something beautiful, and has had a feeling about it that arrived before any management system could intercept it, and has manifested in the smallest possible muscular adjustment of her face before composure reasserted itself. The jaw set lasts approximately 2 seconds. Then something else replaces it. What replaces the jaw set is the expression that has become the defining image of this entire moment in the Min-kyo community, and it is this expression that has generated the most sustained discussion, the most detailed analysis, the most enthusiastic fan responses, and frankly the most genuine laughter that the community has produced in recent memory. Because what replaces the jaw set is a smile. Not the composed public warmth of Song Hye-kyo's professional presentation. Not the gracious acknowledgement smile of a celebrity performing appropriate responses to the things happening around her. A smile of the kind that arrives on a face when something has struck the person behind the face as privately, specifically, personally funny in a way that they did not anticipate being struck and that they are now struggling with varying success to contain within the boundaries of their usual public composure. Song Hye-kyo found something funny. In the middle of watching her husband get overwhelmed with fan gifts. She found something that struck her as funny enough to generate an uncontained smile in a public space, and the community has been collectively trying to identify exactly what the funny thing was since the footage surfaced, and the attempts have themselves become funny in the warm communal way that the best Min-kyo fan discourse always eventually becomes. The leading theory. And it is leading because it is consistent with everything else known about Song Hye-kyo's character and sense of humor and the specific quality of intelligence she brings to every situation she finds herself in, is that what she found funny was the sheer abundance. The specific absurdity of the scale. The particular comedy of sitting in an audience watching a man you married. A man whose morning face and dinner preferences and private habits and small domestic imperfections you know with complete intimacy, being treated by the world outside your private life as an almost mythological figure worthy of sustained collective devotion expressed in the form of escalating quantities of gifts. There is something inherently warmly funny about that gap. The gap between the man your husband is in the private life you share with him, and the man he is in the imagination of the thousands of people filling a room to hand him flowers. Song Hye-kyo lives in that gap every day and has presumably made some kind of peace with it, but watching it expressed at full, unmediated scale in a room she is physically present in apparently hit the funny nerve rather than any other nerve, and the smile was the result. The smile is significant beyond its immediate comedic content for reasons that go deeper into the Min-kyo story. Song Hye-kyo smiling in an uncontained, unmanaged way in a public space is itself a relatively rare documented occurrence. Not because she is an unhappy person or a serious one in any oppressive sense, but because her public presentation is so consistently calibrated that the full Song Hye-kyo smile, the one that arrives when something has genuinely gotten through all the management systems and produced a real involuntary response, is not something that appears frequently in public documentation. When it does appear, it is always significant because its appearance means that something bypassed the professional management entirely. Something was funny or joyful or moving enough that the response it generated was faster than the management system's ability to catch it. The gift mountain made her smile that way. Her husband's fans, in their collective and somewhat overwhelming devotion, managed to produce in song Hye-kyo the specific unmanaged joy that is arguably one of the rarest and most precious things a public camera has ever caught from her. The Min-kyo community is aware of this. The Min-kyo community is not taking it for granted. Let us now examine what this entire sequence of expressions, from the measuring look to the jaw set to the uncontained smile, reveals about the state of Song Hye-kyo's relationship to the reality of being Lee Min-ho's wife. Because there is a trajectory in those expressions that tells a story if you follow it carefully, and the story is not the simple jealousy narrative that the surface reading offers. The simple jealousy narrative is entertaining and is not entirely inaccurate, but it is the beginning of the story rather than its entirety. The fuller story starts with the measuring look, which is the story of a woman taking in new information. Song Hye-kyo has known intellectually, for as long as she has known Lee Min-ho, that he has a fan base of extraordinary devotion and global scale. She has known this the way you know facts that exist in the abstract before you have directly experienced their full concrete reality. The gift sequence apparently provided that direct experience in a form that made the abstract facts suddenly and fully real in a way that required processing. The jaw set is the processing. It is the brief, honest, entirely human moment of a woman whose emotional intelligence and self-awareness are both high enough that she can simultaneously have a feeling and observe herself having it. She had a feeling about the gifts, about the specific nature of fan devotion directed at a man who is now her husband, and who presumably relates to her in ways so completely different from how he relates to his fan base that the comparison should offer immediate comfort, and yet the human nervous system does not always accept rational comfort in the moment that feeling arrives. She had the feeling. It lasted 2 seconds. And then something more interesting than the feeling replaced it. The smile is the replacement and the smile is the resolution. The smile is Song Hye-kyo's emotional intelligence arriving at the scene and reframing the moment in a way that the jaw set, the raw feeling, could not access. The smile says, I have understood what I am watching, and what I am watching is actually wonderful. Not threatening. Not challenging. Wonderful. A room full of people expressing love for a man who, whatever he is to all of them in their imagination and their devotion, is mine in a way that none of them can access. The smile says, I know something that everyone in this room does not know. I know the man behind the stage presence. I know the version of him that no fan gift will ever reach. I know where he is going when this event ends, and I know what he is like when he gets there, and that knowledge, that complete and intimate and daily renewed knowledge, is the thing that makes the whole gift mountain privately, warmly, specifically funny. Lee Min-ho's awareness of Song Hye-kyo's reactions during the gift sequence is a dimension of this moment that the available footage does not fully resolve, but that the Min-kyo community has been analyzing with considerable enthusiasm. There are moments in the footage where his gaze appears to move in the direction of the audience with a quality that fans have identified as not quite the generalized audience awareness of a stage performer, but the specific directional attention of someone who knows where a particular person is sitting and is checking in on that person. Whether he caught the jaw set is unknown. Whether he caught the smile is more likely, given its duration and the specific quality of its visibility. Whether the catching of either or both of those expressions produced any visible response in him is a question the footage appears to answer very quietly in a moment that several very attentive viewers have flagged and that the broader community is now examining closely. The moment is brief. It is a shift in his expression during the gift-receiving sequence that arrives, according to the frame-by-frame analysis fans have been conducting, at a point in time consistent with him having just made visual contact with his wife in the audience. The shift is not dramatic. It is not the kind of thing that would register to a casual viewer of the footage. But to people who have spent years studying the specific geography of Lee Min-ho's face across thousands of documented public moments, and who know what his face does in its managed public register well enough to recognize departures from it, the shift is visible, and the shift is a response. His face does something in that moment that is warmer and more private and more directionally specific than anything that stage awareness requires, and then he returns to the gift receiving with the same gracious attentiveness he has maintained throughout. Something passed between them across the room. Some private exchange conducted entirely through the specific language of shared glances that people who know each other deeply develop over time. What the exchange contained is not available to the camera or to the Hye-kyo community, but the community has been building its version of the exchange in the most creative and emotionally intelligent fan discourse this channel has seen in some time. The constructions vary in their specifics but converge in their general shape, which is the shape of two people who are completely secure with each other, finding the same situation simultaneously funny and communicating that shared finding across a room full of people who do not have access to the joke. The gifts themselves, now that the moment has been fully broken down, deserve a final examination because they are not simply props in the song Hye-kyo reaction story. They are the evidence of something real and significant about Lee Min-ho as a public figure, and about what his presence means to the people who have organized their fan devotion around him. The elaborateness of the gifts, the handmade quality of many of them, the sheer sustained effort that their creation and transportation and presentation represent, communicates a depth of feeling that is not trivially explained or dismissed. These are not the impulsive offerings of casual admirers. They are the products of sustained, devoted attention from people who have invested genuine time and genuine creative energy in constructing something worthy of the person they are presenting it to. Song Hye-kyo, watching this particular quality of devotion being directed at her husband, is watching something that should, and apparently at some level does, produce in her an awareness of who she married. Not just who he is to her in the private life they share, though that knowledge is presumably extensive and irreplaceable and constitutes the foundation of everything between them, but who he is in the broader world. What he means to people who have never met him and will never meet him but who have organized real portions of their emotional life around the figure he represents in their imagination. She was watching the public Lee Min-ho from the inside of a relationship with a private one, and the resulting perspective produced the jaw set, and then the smile, and then whatever private exchange crossed the room between them in that brief, unguarded moment of directional attention. This is why this moment is significant beyond its immediate entertainment value. Beyond the delicious surface story of Song Hye-kyo looking jealous while her husband drowns in fan gifts. It is significant because it is a window into the specific complexity of being Song Hye-kyo inside this marriage. Of being the person who occupies the private interior of a relationship with someone the world loves in the particular way that the world loves Lee Min-ho. That position comes with its own specific emotional landscape, and that landscape includes moments exactly like this one, moments when the public scale of your husband's fan devotion becomes viscerally, physically, unavoidably present in a room you are also physically present in, and your face has a series of feelings about it before your management systems fully engage. Her face had the feelings. The camera caught them. The Hye-kyo community has been in sustained collective joy about it ever since. And somewhere in the private world of Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo there is a conversation about this event that is probably one of the funniest conversations they have had in recent memory, conducted in the specific warm private comedic register of two people who find each other genuinely amusing and who have been given, by the particular circumstances of this fan event, an abundance of material to work with. Drop everything and go to the comments right now. Tell us which expression in the footage hit you hardest. Tell us your read on what passed between them in that brief moment of directional eye contact across the room. Tell us what you think the private Hye-kyo conversation about the gift mountain sounded like behind closed doors. Like this video, share it with every Hye-kyo fan in your life who needs to see this breakdown today. And subscribe, because if a fan event can produce this much emotional richness from a camera that was simply pointed in the right direction at the right time, the Hye-kyo content coming down the pipeline is going to be more than this community is ready for. Stay close. Stay subscribe. This story keeps getting better and it is nowhere near done.